Guys, what's going on? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Sony A6300. This is the camera I've been using for the last 3 videos on my channel. Today we're going to be doing a little review of the A6300, and I'm going to give you guys my likes and dislikes of the camera. This is actually my second A6300. The first A6300 had a sensor failure. Basically what happened was I was recording for 10 minutes doing a YouTube video for this YouTube channel, and this happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened, guys, but that was terrible. So I took it to Best Buy and I had them exchange it. Thank God that they actually did exchange it for a brand new A6300. Hopefully this doesn't happen anymore. Now, yes, that is one of the problems I have seen. I am on a A6300 forum, and I have seen that with the A6300 sometimes the sensor does do that in some rare cases. So before I go over anything about the camera or any positives of the camera, I just want to go over what I don't like about the camera. What is the things that are really troubling about this camera? So number one is it overheats. Yes, guys, it does overheat. It overheats at about 30 minutes for my model. I am on this A6300 forum, and some guy in Dubai said that his overheated in about 3 minutes. So if you're in hot, scorching summer with the sun right on the A6300, do not shoot in 4K 24 FPS because you will only be able to shoot for a very short amount of time. Also, the rolling shutter. You all know about the rolling shutter. It's terrible. It's even worse than the A7S II and the A7R2, and those cameras have some of the worst rolling shutter that you will ever get in any other camera. This beats it out. This has worse rolling shutter. So I found that if you're trying to move around with 4K 24 FPS, you're gonna have a bad time. So just, if you're gonna be using 4K, make sure it's on a tripod, or make sure you're using an OSS lens and you're very stable. This is not a camera to be shooting at 4K 24 FPS and do vlogging. That is not what this camera is intended for. Switch over to 1080p 60 FPS, and actually in 1080p 60 FPS and 24 FPS I have found some of the least amount of rolling shutter with this camera. In 4K it's the most amount, in 1080p it's the least amount. Like, it's even less than Canon's. I'm not kidding. So if you're planning on shooting a lot of 1080p, yes, the 1080p is quite soft with this camera, but also the rolling shutter is very, very, very minimal. So those are some of the downsides. Also, another downside is, I'm going to show you a clip right now. As you can see, this is what I shot with the A6300, and I noticed that there's this weird blackout when I have LED lights playing. So I was recording a live concert and there were LED lights in this environment, a lot of LED lights, and it was making the sensor go crazy. So there you go. Don't use this camera in those types of environments or you're gonna get a weird effect. Alright, other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at how the camera actually looks and how it feels and all that. So looking at the top of the camera here, we have all these switches here. I keep it on the video mode most of the time just because I don't really like to use any photos. I don't like to take photos myself just because I'm not a photographer. I'm more of a videographer. I really don't use photo mode at all. If I gotta take a photo, I take out my phone and I take a photo. I don't really bring any camera for photo use. So I keep it on photo mode. This review is mostly going to be based on videos. Also, I actually, like I was saying, I was on that forum And I noticed that some people, even while taking photos, the camera overheats. So just keep that in mind. This is a camera that overheats. This is a huge limitation of the camera. It overheats. That's just one of the things you got to keep in mind. So like I said, on the top here, we got the hot shoe mount. We got the flash here. And the cool thing about this flash is that, let's see if I can make it work here. Okay, let me get the flash out. With this flash, you can raise it up and take photos like that. And then you're gonna have nice even spread of light, which is awesome. Let's go back to video mode. We got the shutter button, feels very nice and clicky. The power on off switch. The ergonomics feel very good. I like the ergonomics. It feels nice, you know. It's a small camera, but it feels like I can really grip onto it. Although it could be a little bigger. I feel as if sometimes I want to drop it. If you know, it's a little too small for my taste. I wish I could afford the A7S II, but I can't. But for such a small camera, I do like the ergonomics. We got the custom button here. I got this custom button assigned to a custom profile, so I can pick S-Log2, S-Log3, Cine 4, all those. This is to switch, I believe, the shutter or ISO. Over here we got, you know, we all know what this is. The menu, the flash here, the EVF. This EVF is really good. You can actually switch it to 120 FPS, which is 120 hertz, 120 hertz, and you can have a really nice fast EVF. I did use this EVF for professional video use, and it works quite well. Over here we got display. Basically we got this wheel here, the FN button. Basically, if you're in video mode, it brings up this little menu right here. Let me press this. You can choose your focus area, whatever, all your things. You can go into photo mode right here, switch through your photos and whatnot, and then if you are on a video, you can just delete it. So there you go. On the front here, let's take off this lens. Let's not put it that way. Let's go ahead and do that. We got the APS-C size sensor. Very nice sensor. Although you do see it looks very crammed in there, so kind of makes sense that it overheats. Let's put this back on. I don't want any dust in here. The included lens is a kit lens. This is the 16 to 50 millimeter 3.5 to 5.6 lens. It's an alright lens. I don't really dig it too much. It's great for my autofocus needs, but the bokeh is very unattractive with this lens, so that means the autofocus areas are quite unattractive with this lens. Not very friendly. It kind of looks like the bokeh you would take on your cell phone. Doesn't look very appealing, but it does have the power zoom. This is one of the things I really like. Very easy to change between, you know, wide and whatever, telescopic. Very easy this way. Here we have, you can also switch the zoom by doing this, or you can have this be a manual focus ring. So I like the power zoom a lot. You don't really find this feature in a lot of any other cameras like Canons, whatever. You will not find this feature. This is something Sony does, which is really nice. I like it a lot. Makes for some really smooth shots. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So let's go ahead and take a look at some picture profiles. I have Cine 4. This is my favorite picture profile with the Pro color mode and +2 saturation. That gives me a really nice out of the box look, and it also gives me a very nice depth, or not depth, but dynamic range. So this is Cine 4 is one of the best out of the box dynamic range picture profiles. Alright, go into S-Log 2. Let's go back to there. We have S-Log 2. And a lot of people like using S-Log 2 because it prevents bending much more than S-Log 3. But in my opinion, S-Log 3 holds its dynamic range much better than S-Log 2. Also, S-Log 3 has about 13 to 13.5 stops of dynamic range, and S-Log 2 has only like 11 to 11.5. This was a test done by a article I read. I'm not sure who wrote it exactly, but they said that S-Log 2 had about 11 stops of dynamic range, and S-Log 3 had 14 stops, which is a really big difference, guys. That's for 13 stops or 13.5 stops is like cinema, like a cinema camera quality. That's really nice. Even though this is an 8-bit camera, when uploading to YouTube, you're not really gonna notice a difference. Even when I had my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, I could upload to YouTube, even though I shot the video at 12-bit or 10-bit, and I'll still get banning. So YouTube compresses it anyways, and it doesn't really matter. You also have Cine 1, Cine 2. Cine 2 is a good profile if you really want to kind of raise those shadows. So I don't know if you can tell. So like Cine 4 is good, but Cine 2, you can't really tell on the recording, but Cine 2 really raises the shadows, but it does clip the highlights. So I just like to keep it on Cine 4. Let's stick that to Cine 2. And then you got your picture off profile. Don't ever use this mode. It gives you like terrible dynamic range. So if you gotta use a mode that is a good out of the box mode, I recommend using, where am I going here? I recommend using Cine 4. And then you can just raise the saturation in post. So yeah, I really like this camera. The quality is quite amazing. It's some of the best quality I've ever seen. When they say that it downscales from 6K to 4K, they're not lying. This is the sharpest 4K camcorder under $3,000 that you can get. This is really, really, really sharp. It's sharper than the A7S II, sharper than the A7R II. It's insanely sharp. Very sharp. It's even sharper than the NX1. Very, very sharp camera. It's great for zooming in. It's great for cropping and having no loss of detail. It's really, really sharp. Very nice. Also, I noticed that when shooting in S-Log 3, you get a pretty awesome looking image. The image just, like all my lights aren't blown out. Like this light, you can see right here in the video right now, it's blown out. But in with S-Log 3, it's not blown out. You can see all my lights. It looks very filmic, very cinema-like, which is what I like. Also, for the camera, I got two lenses. So first lens I got is the 16 to 50 millimeter f2.8 lens. This is from the A mount line of cameras, and also the LEAE3 adapter, which allows me to autofocus in photo mode using this lens here. But the autofocus is only allows me to use like contrast AF for video mode, and it's like really bad. So this is pretty much a manual only lens, except you can change the aperture and all that, but you can't really autofocus with it with the A6300 and this adapter. Also, I got the Photo C 35mm f1.7 lens for it, and this is a pretty good lens. I like it when I do product shots and stuff like that. Looks really nice, and it's very well built, and it only costs $30. Now it doesn't really have the best image quality, but it has a very interesting artistic creative look, which is what I like. Alright guys, thank you for watching my review of the Sony A6300. If you want to buy this awesome camera, go ahead and click in the link in the description below. Click that link and you can buy it from that link. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is the internal microphones on this camera are fantastic. They're really good. All my previous videos that you saw, I was using the internal microphones of this A6300, and you can listen to those videos. And I did edit the audio a little bit for my voice, but still, the audio straight at the camera is quite good. Alright guys, thank you for watching. God bless.